Hey good people, so Batavia here. I wanted to share some goodies with you. After a very good day in the garden, I am coming in from harvesting or picking some okra, plenty of okra, some cucumbers, and then a bunch of tomatoes. So I wanted to do something I've not done before, and that is do a taste test for the tomatoes that I have here. So just a couple of quick facts. I am not a tomato expert, but I am a tomato lover. I have 5 tomato plants inside of what I refer to as the cage baby. And the goal for the cage baby is to keep the squirrels away from the tomatoes and the tomatoes away from the squirrels. And that has been successful. This is the 2nd year with the cage baby. These are all tomatoes. The plants came from either a nursery or a garden center. I didn't plant these from seed, so I didn't start from seed and grow the plant and then put it into the garden. And then these tomatoes and my garden in general, I don't use pesticides, so I don't spray anything on the tomatoes or any of the other vegetables or anything like that to fight pests. I really try to garden organically, if you will. And then the tomato plants in particular are all organic tomato plants that I've purchased. So let's see. First up, we have the red beefsteak tomato. We'll put a close-up. It has been a bit disappointing in size. These are supposed to be like really big tomatoes, like sandwich style tomatoes. This is that's what they've been known for, the beefsteak tomato. But I don't know if it's something I did this year. It is a sicker looking tomato plant when I look at it compared to the other 4 in the bed. And the tomatoes are just generally smaller, but it's still producing tomatoes, so there's that. I'll take tomatoes all shapes, forms, and sizes. Next up, I have the big boy tomato. So this has been pretty consistent so far this year. I've been harvesting or picking tomatoes for about a month or so from these plants. Again, first day I was able to harvest a tomato, at least one, from each plant that I'm growing. But these have been pretty consistent in size. But I have noticed as the season has gone on and these have started to ripen, there's a bit of cracking that's happening with the big boys in particular. And that is where you kind of see close to the stem, there is like cracking that happens. I've read quite a bit and saw online that this generally happens based on changes in water conditions. You get too much water followed by too little water, or vice versa. So I don't know if that's the case. I feel like I've watered each of these tomato plants the same amount. They get the same amount of rain and so on. But again, this is fine when it comes to consuming. All you need to do is cut off the portion of the tomato, that top part that's cracked, and then the rest of the tomato is just fine to eat. So next up, the 3rd tomato I have here is the Brandywine tomato. So this is the first time I've grown it this year, and it's been a treat because I didn't realize it was going to be a bit pink. It's almost like a blush color. It's not quite red. One could say maybe a light red, but I just say it's kind of a pinkish tone. So we have that one here. It's an heirloom. And then I have the orange Oxheart, and so this is also an heirloom. This is the first time I've grown it this year as well. I'm gonna say maybe my favorite of the year. I know I'm always switching up the favorites, but for tomatoes at least, and it's probably because of just its uniqueness compared to the other things I'm growing, it's the green zebra. And so the green zebra it starts off green like every other tomato does, and then you start to see darker shades of green, almost stripes. And then you know that it's ripe when, I've read that once it turns yellow, but it feels like for all of mine, it basically goes from that kind of light green to almost an orange tint. So those are the kind of pointers to say that it's time to take it off of the plant and bring it inside to eat. So that's a little bit about each tomato. We are going to take a step away and cut each of these tomatoes up, and then we'll be back once we're ready to start tasting. So we are going to get to the moment we've been waiting for. So I have each of them ready to taste. I'm going to start with the red beefsteak. Let's see what we have here. I think what you would expect from a tomato. I don't know that I'd say it's not a deep flavor or anything like that. It's just, you know, a juicy tomato. So I'm fine with that, satisfied with that. I don't know what you're supposed to do to clean your palate between tomato testing, but I'm just gonna have some water. Next up, the big boy. Larger seeds, fewer seeds, but larger. So in comparison, this one's a tinge sweeter compared to the beefsteak. But a good tomato. I think that if you had both in a salad or some meal, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between the two. So I guess if I look at them both, I just say that, excuse me, one is larger than the other, so you get more out of that individual tomato. I am going to now move on to the Brandywine. Let's see if we can clean the palate. So for this one, so this one's a bit, it's a bit softer, and it just could be that it's a little bit more ripe than the others, but it's a little bit more of a mild flavor compared to the others. Like, I'd say the others are very traditional tomato taste, where this one is just a milder taste. Yeah. So someone that isn't maybe crazy about tomatoes, and if you have, you know, a dish you put tomatoes in, maybe that's the one for them. I don't know that just from this taste test, I don't know that I would necessarily grow this one again. Yeah, it's okay. Again, as a tomato lover, you know, you have to try really hard to get on my bad tomato list, but this one probably won't make it into the cage baby next year. All right, so this is the orange Oxheart. I would probably say this is like a meatier tomato. It's not as juicy as the first two. More solid, if you will. Probably holds better together. But let's see how it tastes. A milder flavor. I've read something about non-red tomatoes sometimes have milder flavors. I definitely say that about this one. More flavorful than the Brandywine, but they kind of put me in the same mindset when it comes to just not the kind of tomato kick that you would expect. All right, let's get on home with the green zebra. So this one, inside's all green, tinge of yellow or orange. So I wanted to be fair and actually taste it. I already knew kind of it'd bring a smile to my face. So the green zebra, in my mind, it kind of puts you in the mindset of like a citrus-like. So think of, you know, a lime or something like that. It's not bitter or sour or anything like that. So I've been eating these less in salads and more in things like if I have tacos. I'll add this tomato to it versus just a regular red tomato. So we've tasted all 5. I would say I probably would, just out of curiosity, give the beefsteak tomato another go, planting it again to see if I can keep the plant healthy and get those large size tomatoes that I enjoy growing. The big boy, it's almost like a filler tomato, like just, again, something consistent. You're gonna get a lot of fruit off of it, as I have been, and it has that genuine tomato flavor. Because my space is limited, I kind of have to be a little bit picky. So the Brandywine, I don't know, I have a bunch more on the plant. I actually have a super duper large Brandywine tomato. So this one was picked today as well. So I am going to, I don't know, I guess I'm going to try and I'll eat a few more off of the plant to see how I feel about it. But right now it's not that strong of a contender to make it into next year's garden. The orange Oxheart, I think, again, this may be one that, you know, I tried this year. It adds some color to the cage baby, but I'm not sure I'll grow it next year. I'll probably try a different type of tomato. If you didn't know already, the green zebra is probably going to have a place in my garden for many years to come. So definitely we'll grow this one again and definitely enjoy this one. So that's what I have. This went kind of long, but I mean, taste testing always does. So I hope you've enjoyed what I've shared. Let me know if you have any questions, any feedback, if you've grown some of these, and if you have thoughts on kind of what their taste has been and kind of what the tomato plants have produced. I'd love to hear it. Anywho, thanks for spending some time with me, and I will see you on the next one.